Jack O'Neill started the organization in 1996 in order to connect youth with the ocean while using the world's largest classroom and science lab to promote environmental stewardship. He had a boat, he had a building at the harbor, and his son Tim had hired a crew to begin developing and implementing an ocean-going science and environment program for youth. The initial thought that Jack had was to get youth on the ocean, and he thought that that would be very impactful for the kids, and it is, especially for low-income kids who otherwise would never have the opportunity to get out on the ocean. The idea to use science education to promote environmental values and behaviors was developed by our board of directors in 1997. That's how the mission statement of our organization was developed. The use of hands-on learning was also developed at that time. So the idea of putting youth on the ocean to learn science and how to protect the environment were all developed at the beginning of the program in 1996 and 1997. Jack's idea was really intuitive. He's really an inventor, a tinkerer, an innovative marketer, and his purpose in starting the program was to connect kids to the ocean so they would learn to protect the ocean. As a former CEO, he left the details on how that would be done to education and nonprofit professionals. At first, the program was funded by and run out of the O'Neill wetsuit and surf business. The nonprofit O'Neill Sea Odyssey organization was formed to take over the program, to raise funds for it, and to allow the creative process necessary to form the educational curriculum and to flourish. We now supply curricula, we develop teacher packets, we produce newsletters, we teach over 5,000 students a year, we operate a boat, we pay for school buses, and we raise money. It's more appropriate that a nonprofit organization do these things and not a surf business. That's why the organization was started. Our mission statement says it best. O'Neill Sea Odyssey provides a hands-on educational experience to encourage the protection and the preservation of our living sea and communities. We engage young people to lead lives as stewards and advocates for the protection and preservation of the ocean and their communities. Ocean and communities are linked through watersheds, through storm drain systems, and human behavior is a major factor in protecting them. California's population is growing rapidly. Future majority of Californians will be people of color, and many will be low and moderate income. We focus on these communities to teach environmental stewardship using hands-on science learning. For example, at the California and World Ocean Conferences in 2003 and 2007, I presented papers entitled Low-Income Youth as Environmental Leaders and Tomorrow's Environmental Stewards, highlighting the need to create ocean stewards and advocates among youth who will be the constituency of California's future leadership. The program, in fact, does work. Applied Survey Research's most recent evaluation of our student survey data found that low-income youth in the program caught up with their higher-income peers in both their knowledge and their intent to engage in environmentally responsible behavior. Nearly all the low-income kids we serve are today's minority. Therefore, proven capacity is there to create ocean stewards within populations that will be tomorrow's California majority. In fact, all youth can learn to protect their oceans and their communities. To do this work, we have to maintain and operate our boat, we have to maintain and operate our education center, and we need to retain qualified instructors and engage committed donors. All this is necessary in order to sustain our relationship with the 200 school classes we serve each year. And what do we need to keep all this going? We need funding. There are several leverage points. First, there's hands-on learning, which we do in small groups. We break each class into 3 groups to provide highly individual hands-on instruction. The average instructor-to-student ratio is 10:1, making teaching more effective and increasing the likelihood that each student will become an environmental advocate. Hands-on learning in small groups provides a framework for the vocabulary that they use. It increases participation by English learners, and it demonstrates the academic subject matter in an engaging and exciting way. Verbal, visual, kinesthetic, and auditory learners are all taught through this hands-on and engaging approach to science. We cover all the bases. It's not just a textbook. Our lessons introduce new vocabulary to both native English speakers and English learners. We've also translated scientific terms into Spanish and have those posted on cards at each station. Concurrent translations encourage students to learn and gain vocabulary in Spanish as well. Next, there are the community service projects, another leverage point. The projects are conducted by each participating class approved by O'Neill Sea Odyssey. 2010-2011, there are some examples of these community service projects. One was to incubate steelhead fish eggs to be released in the San Lorenzo River. There was a removal of garbage from an urbanized area of Soquel Creek. There was a trash cleanup in Watsonville Slough, and there was a forest cleanup at Fall Creek State Park in the San Lorenzo Valley. There was a project to monitor oxygen levels, temperature, turbidity, and flow rate in a local creek as it affects fish. The year before that, some projects included raising steelhead trout for release into the river in San Lorenzo. There was a native planting in one of the wetland areas south of Santa Cruz. And there was a replanting of native plants at Del Mar Elementary School, one of the participating schools in our program. In the area of finances, we own the upstairs of the building where we are housed, which contains our education center and some premium office spaces that we rent out. We have strong ties to the business community and a broad base of donors. Our success in fundraising enables us to provide the program for free, and often we pay for bus transportation. This relieves stress on schools, keeps us from having to engage in the politics of which school gets a discount and which one pays a full price, for example. It also enables the youth to perform community service projects, which both engages those youth in the community and helps them to demonstrate the value the program has to them. Our organization has raised $9 million since 1998. In 2004, it also undertook a $1.25 million fundraising campaign to renovate the upstairs portion of the O'Neill building. That building was donated by Jack O'Neill and Harry Hind to our program in 2000. The newly renovated building provides an American with Disabilities Act compliant, modern education center, and some private tenant spaces that provide revenue to support our program. O'Neill Sea Odyssey is run by a 10-member board of directors. It has 3 full-time and 11 part-time staff. O'Neill Sea Odyssey's current yearly revenue is over $1 million, and we receive a yearly financial audit. Our short-term results are measured on an annual basis. For this, we use applied survey research, which analyzes the results of a survey applied to the students before and after the program. O'Neill Sea Odyssey staff administers the survey. The evaluation gauges the program outcomes as they relate to youth engaged in the program. The measurement milestones for the evaluation are as follows. Students increase their knowledge of ocean science concept. The goal is that 3/4 of the students achieve this goal. They learn about ocean science concepts, and we do attain that goal. Secondly, students become stewards of their communities, watersheds, and the ocean. Again, the goal is that 2/3 of the kids agree to attain this goal, and in fact, by the end of the program, they do. Lastly, we hope that teachers will use OSO curriculum, our curriculum, in their classroom effectively, as indicated by 3/4 of teachers reporting how they're using these materials in their classroom, and they do. Applied Survey Research, for example, just finished their evaluation of our program from last year, and they found that, in fact, our program had a great impact on lower income youth. Now, they found that higher income youth came to our program with a higher level of understanding of ocean science, as well as a higher level of desire to engage in environmental awareness and environmentally responsible behaviors. But after our program is finished, both higher and low income youth had the same level, higher level, of environmental behavior and ocean awareness. So in other words, the low income youth caught up with the higher income youth as a result of our program. Because the name O'Neill is in our organization's title, People either assume that the project is part of the O'Neill business, or that it's entirely funded by Jack O'Neill, or that it is just a boat ride that's fun or a surfing experience for the kids. In fact, we are a nonprofit organization. We're not a foundation. This was intentionally done to involve the community in our work. We still receive support from Jack O'Neill and the rest of the O'Neill family and the surf wetsuit business that they own. Under IRS rules, no one donor can constitute more than 50% of our organization's revenue. The O'Neill family and business provide about 20%. We have 2,900 donors. About half of those give $500 or less. Many of our donors will give $10, $15 because they love our program. We also have a large number of individual donors who give us $5,000 or more. We have very strong relationships with businesses, foundations, and individuals that support us. We also receive some government support, mostly from specific funds that are intended to reduce water pollution and that are intended to promote recycling. Jack O'Neill started the program, and the people who operate the boat are experienced captains and sailors. The O'Neill business does our payroll services, they provide other in-kind support, and there's a lot of credibility that comes with the O'Neill name, and the family's involvement helps us with our fundraising. O'Neill Sea Odyssey is set up to continue after Jack is no longer with us. The boat will continue to operate. We own the upstairs of the O'Neill building at the Santa Cruz Harbor, which provides our education center, our lab space, and the private suites that we rent, and that rental revenue supports our work. We have a rigorous science program that operates within the world's largest classroom and science lab, which is also called the Ocean. Schools like us because we're free, we help with bus transportation, and our curriculum is aligned with science and math standards. We do annual analyses of our effectiveness, and a study of our long-term impact on youth is underway now. We found that our most profound impact is on lower-income youth. Both our knowledge of science and their intentions to engage in environmentally responsible behaviors and stewardship. Many also choose to become advocates for the environment and for their communities. So, we're not a sailing school and we're not a surf school. We're a science program with environmental outcomes, and we are supported by many, many donors. In 2004, we wrote and published our curriculum in partnership with the National Marine Sanctuary Program. The curriculum was designed to be a nationally applicable program to give teachers the resources they need to bring more science into their classroom. The curriculum was aligned with national and California state science and mathematics education standards for 4th through 6th grades, and it was distributed nationally. In 2008, we published a second edition of that curriculum to align with what's called National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Ocean Literacy Program. This is a way to introduce ocean concepts and weather concepts into the science standards. Also, in 2004, in partnership with the Santa Cruz Harbor, we renovated our building and created a modern, disabled accessible education center. Now, our program was started in 1996 and became a nonprofit organization in 1997. In 2004, we received an award from the California governor. It was called the Environmental and Economic Leadership Award. In 2005, we received the Environmental Champion Award from U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer. And then a couple of years ago, the Adam Webster Memorial Fund received an award from the Special Parents Information Network. This fund provides our program for kids with special needs. We have many moving parts to what we do. We have a boat, we have a building, we have school buses, and a lot of logistics. Over 15 years, we now have it down to a science. A key financial goal for us is to build our permanent endowment, which will sustain our program into the future. We wish to continue to promote our curriculum and to promote effective watershed to the sea education at different locations around the world. We'd like to develop a virtual program, something that can be played on a computer, for example, for landlocked youth that live and learn in inland areas. We would also like to add a summer program for community centers that serve low-income youth. That would really amplify our current impact and serve more kids. Most schools serving low-income youth have few resources for either science or environmental learning. Because environmental studies integrate all the subject areas, our program is an academic catalyst as well as a way to promote good citizenship and community engagement amongst the youth. One gap is school bus funding. We provide this funding in order to allow lower-income schools to participate in a program. Another gap is more in-class curriculum on our website, particularly for inland schools, so they can benefit from ocean science, which is very interesting and very dynamic for the kids. We could also do a summer program for lower-income youth who are enrolled in after-school programs and community centers. That way we reach more youth and spread the idea of environmental stewardship.